I'm trying to walk the turkey off.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. World, all is well. I hope everybody's doing great. Listen, this is episode 50. 50.
The big 5-0.
The big 5-0.
5-0 for the 5-0s.
5-0 for the 5-0.
Just thought about that.
You know what I'm saying? But we appreciate you. Please keep tuning in. I'm gonna be honest with you. This episode tonight is absolutely insane. It's crack from the 80s.
It's gonna be. Mama used to say, grab your drink,
Right.
sit down, take your shoes off.
Listen, put your camp socks on.
It's definitely that time.
Oh my God!
Put the kids away.
Yeah, make sure the kids are asleep.
Please get some groundwater, and we engage to your ears because we really about to get married. Episode 50 is I don't have a word for it, but it's going to be strictly amazing. The guest that we have is, I don't know what to say, but listen, we're going to get into our sponsors. Triple C, let me get that music. All right, don't forget, Starbox USA. Starbox USA, go get that for your SBRs, your rifles. And don't forget the discount. Get 20% off, all caps, Silverback Podcast, all caps, Silverback Podcast from your boys here in blue. We appreciate you. And don't forget that merch, www.silverbackchronicles.com. We got everything you need, baby. Hats, t-shirts, sweaters. Don't forget that Bolivian white. It's crazy.
Scully action.
Scully action. You know what I'm saying? You need a beanie, especially for my dudes with the bald heads out there. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Keep it shiny for the hiney, you heard?
The spring collection we working on.
Yeah, spring collection with blue is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But that's another story. Anywho, I'm not going to waste no time. It's about time.
Yeah, sip slow because the knowledge that's about to be spit,
It's going to be insane.
yeah, you have to soak that in.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a retired captain. Over 23 years on the job. Retired. Looked like he about 24. Chipped up.
Yeah.
Built like a brick. Like he built like a damn 18-wheeler, baby. Chipped up. Macho man without the singlet. Chipped up. But I love this man. He gave myself, Dre, so much guidance.
Absolutely.
On the job. And not even just about the job, about life. And that's a big difference, what he brings to the table. And I'm speechless just talking about him.
What I would like to add is that, yes, you were a captain, but there's many captains out there, but none of them, or some of them, don't know how to lead. You, sir, are a leader.
Appreciate that.
And that's hard for me to say because but that comes from the bottom of my heart.
Absolutely.
There's certain type of men that I've come across.
Yeah.
That you be like, yo, war, and I will follow you to that war because I know we're gonna come back.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Real stuff.
But ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, our retired captain, Alonzo Mourner. Sir!
Yo.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say. Thank God that he placed you in my path just to let me know what being a man was really about. And then grooming me to become an officer and taking what you told me and applying that to becoming a detective and just doing phenomenal things within this organization that we strive to put the best product out in the streets every day, all day. It's just an amazing feeling. And I appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate both of you gentlemen. I can't believe it's been like 10 years since you fellas went through the academy, man.
Right.
It's crazy. But I was telling my wife, when I told her I was gonna come on the show, I told her how we reconnected and everything, and then I told her, I said, when these guys I was about to say kids, when these guys,
which is fine, because we was pups.
Yeah, you was young dudes, man, but y'all was killing it. y'all was killing it, man. You don't know, y'all was killing it. And I told her, I said, man, I just took a liking to y'all because even though it's the academy and it really is like school with a physical aspect to it, you know, and people don't always take it as seriously as they should. You guys took it seriously. You know, you had fun with it, but you took it seriously, and that's like that. That right there, I was like, man, that's the attitude right there. And I used to always tell you guys, man, as long as y'all continue to do what you're doing right now, y'all be fine. Y'all be fine. Like, there's nothing the academy can teach you that is gonna prepare you to be out there and use your mind, right? They give you the academics, they give you the defensive tactics and all those things, and those things are great. That is the foundation. But the learning how to use your mind and how to embrace the work and the real purpose of the work, that's something you got to develop for yourself. And you guys like had it from the very beginning. You know, some people get in there and they learn it, but some people come in there with it. Y'all came in there with it.
Wow.
You know, so that's like the thing that really drew me to y'all. And there was other people in your class like that, but y'all definitely stood out.
Wow.
I don't know if it's because you big and you bald. But I can definitely see y'all having fun with it every day. And plus y'all was leading. You know, I saw y'all correct people. You know, I saw y'all like stand out in the crowd, man. And, you know, it's not always easy to do that when you're still learning.
Right.
But y'all was learning and standing out at the same time. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. So 23 years.
Yeah.
Please tell the world, where you from, born and raised?
Well, I was born in I was born in a little town in Alabama, segregated Alabama. But I mostly grew up in New York City, nice. Spanish Harlem.
Okay.
Yeah, so
how was that growing up?
Loving it. Lovely. You know, Spanish Harlem is what it is. But you learn everything out there. You know, I wasn't a street kid, but I knew the streets.
Right.
You know, I was strictly about going to school, playing ball, staying out of trouble, you know, trying to honor my parents and, you know, have fun like every other kid, you know. Longing for the day I can get old enough to work
right,
and make some money,
right.
You know, but at the same time having a lot of fun, you know, a lot of fun. I wouldn't have changed it for the world, you know. Two great parents, great siblings, great friends, you know. Yeah, it was just good. It was good, you know. Not to discount the tough times, but great times. Right. It taught me a lot.
That's excellent. So what led down to law enforcement? Was something that you always wanted to do?
No, not at all. When, you know, before I moved here, you know, I mostly worked in the financial field. Worked for a couple companies. Worked for one company that's a real large consumer company, MasterCard. Learned how to work with monies and back then traveler's checks, things like that. Had a good time doing that, and you know, worked on Wall Street for a brief period of time. Worked as an inspector at City Hall. You know, back when David Dinkins became mayor.
Right.
And, may rest in peace.
Yeah, right? Shout out to the late great David Dinkins. And but when I moved here, you know, the type of work I was looking for, I wasn't really able to find. And I'm all about trying to create opportunities and options. So, you know, I had a bunch of part-time jobs, and I was also temping, you know, at places, you know, financial homes, brokerage homes, banks. So I was temping in those types of areas. But you know, when I had my lunch breaks or when I had a day off, you know, back then used to carry resumes. So I used to run everywhere carrying resumes. Just so happened one of the places I worked was a a fitness center. Sorry, and there used to be an officer that would come in there, you know, doing business checks. And every time he would come in there, he's like, "Yo, man, yo, what are you, about 6'2"? What are you, about 200 pounds? Yo, you real articulate, man. You need to go over here to the police department, man. Fill out an application, become a cop." And I mean, I always had a healthy respect for cops. You know, my first softball coach, baseball coach, my first karate coach, my track coach, they were all police officers. Wow. PAL, New York City, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So, you know, in fact, I used to live on the same block as a police precinct. And y'all remember Kevin Clark?
No.
All right, he was one of our commissioners back in the late 90s, early 2000s. He actually worked in the precinct on my block.
Wow.
I didn't know him back then, you know. I was
a good dude.
I was a little kid, but we always had good, you know, relationships with police officers. So never feared the police or anything like that. I just never had a desire. But I happened to be walking past the police headquarters building, and you know, resume in my hand. I go in there. I was thinking, oh, you know, I'm pretty good with computers. I know how to do bookkeeping and those types of things. Let me see if they have anything, you know, in personnel or maybe in financial, you know, in the financial office or something like that, or fiscal office as they call it. So I walked in there. There was an officer at the front desk. You know, there's always an officer there, right? As soon as you walk in. So I asked him, hey, you know, you guys have any openings up there? You know, anything dealing with fiscal or personnel or anything like that? And the officer, he like stood up. Same thing with the height and weight thing. He goes, yo, what are you? What, 6'1", 6'2"? I'm like, yeah. Like, how much you weigh? I was weighing about 205, 210, whatever it was. He's like, you in good shape. I'm like, yeah, I try to stay in good shape. He's like, yo, we don't have no damn jobs for no financial stuff, man. You need to be a damn police officer. Get your ass upstairs and fill out an application.
Just like that.
Just like that, man. I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? Why not? You know?
Right.
If I get it, I can always turn it down.
Right.
If I don't
Can't hurt you.
But creating opportunities, right? And options. So I went up there, you know, one thing led to another and went through the process and, you know, got the call. Yeah, got the call. And when I got the call, I had been filling out applications everywhere, you know, and you know, I was young in my marriage, had a 2-year-old, 3-year-old at the time. You know, we new to Baltimore, didn't have any family or friends or anything like that. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, I need some real good benefits. You know, I need to make a little more money. You know, I'm looking around and I see people that look half as intelligent as I do, but they owning homes.
Right.
I figured,
right on my alley.
I got to get some of this.
Right.
I got to get some of this, man. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. So, you know, when the offer came, you know, I gladly and appreciatively took it and tried to make the best of it. You know.
That's awesome.
Real quick, what made you come to Baltimore though? Like,
my wife. My wife wanted to move here. You know.
Was she originally from here?
No.
She just picked this spot.
We met in school up in New York, and you know, and she had a brother. She has a brother that was living here.
Oh, okay.
She would come down to visit, and you know, she liked it, and you know, so one thing led to another, and you know, we moved down here. Yeah,
makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah, it was you know, it was different. It was different.
It's still different.
Yeah, it's still different. Man. Still different.
Right.
We always express how much we love this town.
Absolutely.
Oh,
we always
absolutely.
Right? It's an amazing town.
It is.
So much potential, but we always also express how different it is.
It is. You know, there's so many opportunities here, and you know, this is the South. You know, and there's some Southern charm to it, but there's also some Southern ignorance to it.
Oh, say that again.
Know?
Absolutely.
There are a lot of real good people doing a lot of great things, you know, and then there's some, you know, we police, so we know the other side. You know, there are a lot of opportunities that present themselves, and then there are a lot of opportunities that may be masked as something else, you know, and you know, one of the things that always kind of pain me about Baltimore is a lot of people don't see the opportunities, you know.
Right.
And I'm not saying they're everywhere, but there are enough of them, you know, and enough of us are taking advantage of them that the ones who are not, they should be able to see it, you know. But, you know, that's why platforms like this exist. So you can talk about those things, right? And that's why people like us are supposed to exist, so that we can, you know, talk about it, and hopefully we can help some people see those opportunities, you know, when they come up, or hopefully we can help them learn how to create opportunities,
absolutely,
you know, for themselves. Yeah.
So, starting off your career, how was it for you being a black man from New York coming to Baltimore?
Right.
Of course, dealing with the same adversity we had to deal with back home.
Right.
What was that transition for you in this new place as an officer for you?
Well, for me, it really wasn't difficult. And I honestly mean that. Like I said, growing up in New York, even though I wasn't a street kid, I knew the tricks.
Absolutely.
I knew what to look for. I knew how people can, get under you, get under your skin. I knew how people can take advantage of you and stuff like that. You see things, you hear things, you learn things, and honestly, Baltimore is slower when it comes to those types of things. That's not to say there's not crime here.
Right.
People live a simpler life here. So most of the stuff that you see is like right out there in front of you.
Right.
So that part was easy. I love education. I'm a lifelong learner. So the academic part, like the academy and learning things, that's always been easy for me. Because I love learning.
Right.
I used to be a voracious reader. Not so much anymore, but back then I read everything. So learning was easy. Always in good physical condition. As high school, college athlete. Played semi-pro ball for a little bit. So I always kept myself in shape.
Right.
And growing up, my pops let us box and take martial arts and stuff like that. And I had brothers beating up on me all the time. So getting a bloody nose ain't nothing. So
right.
I knew how to take care of myself, right? So
you was always war ready.
Yeah, exactly. So those things were really easy for me. Academy was like going back to school. It was really like being an adult in school.
Right.
And that's how it was with a physical, fitness aspect. So that was easy. And went through the academy, class valedictorian. I think I'm not sure. I don't think there were too many African Americans that made valedictorian before me. So that was an honor. Giving a class speech and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And then I got lucky. I got real fortunate in that I got sent to the Eastern District after graduation. And I went to a squad that had a lot of veterans and had some real good leadership, like some excellent leadership. I had a sergeant that I still love to this day, and he was the type of guy who made you work, but he fully supported you. But if you was out there, jacking off, messing up, he was gonna come at you. Same thing with the lieutenant. The lieutenant was a staunch disciplinarian, but a real fair person, and the shift ran extremely well. Everybody pulled for everyone. I kind of went in there with my head down and my eyes and ears open, asking a lot of questions and didn't try to pretend like I knew everything. So, making friends and getting respect was easy. Just doing my job. And so, I was able to learn a lot in a short period of time. And it was easy, man. And, East Baltimore is like Spanish Harlem. It's like Central Harlem. Got a lot of real good people out there that want to see good police work.
Yep.
And they support you. And all you gotta do is just walk around, respect people, talk to them, whether they're doing right or wrong, respect them, talk to them, find out what's going on, find out who's doing what, hey, we talk a whole lot when we're off duty, right? All we gotta do is talk when we're on duty. So, that's basically what I did. Drove my car, kept my windows down, got out, walk around a bit, talk to people, talk to the dudes on the corner, rather than cursing them out. And, it was easy.
So what you was doing is what came natural to you, which was community policing, which became natural for us to do.
Right.
Which stopped a lot of crime.
Right.
Which, you build so much rapport with the people, and they learn to love you and trust you because you're there for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to see nobody bring harm to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. My thing was, I saw good policing and bad policing growing up. I know what it feels like, to have someone look at you and help you, And I know what it feels like to have someone look at you and try to take advantage of you. You know what I mean? And you don't have to be a cop to know right from wrong, right? You just need to be a person. You're going to know right from wrong. And you know how you like to be treated. You know how you want your loved ones to be treated.
Right.
You know, you can't be out there doing crazy things that you wouldn't tolerate if it happened to you or a family member, right? So, so again, it was easy. You know, I'm not saying the job itself is always easy, but again, yo, all you need is a GED and a driver's license to join the department.
Right.
It ain't that hard.
Right.
It ain't that hard.
All right.
You know, you can get into some real bad situations, true. Life and death situations, true.
Right.
You can meet that person whose only purpose that day is to kill a cop,
right,
or kill someone. That can certainly happen, and I don't discount that. But by and large, you go through an 8-hour day on average. How much stress do you really get
right,
in your 8-hour day in patrol? You know what I mean? Now, granted, there's stress running from call to call to call, but in terms of people trying to hurt you,
life-threatening,
right? Life-threatening, nah. You know, it happens, but on average, it doesn't happen that often.
Right.
You know, but you got to have the mindset to be willing to deal with it. So you can't just be a good customer service person, but you also got to be a warrior at the same time.
At the same time.
You know,
Yep.
you be a silent warrior who's ready to do whatever he or she needs to do in order to make a bad situation right.
Right.
Keeping in mind, right, that when everything is said and done, you can be out there, encounter a situation and do everything right, and it still turns out bad.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
But out of your hands.
Right. But you do the best you can, and doing the best you can also includes treating people like they're supposed to be treated.
Absolutely.
You know, and so like I said, you know, I've never really been a real aggressive dude. You know, I consider myself appropriately aggressive. You know, I speak to you the way you need to be spoken to. If I have to yell, I yell. If I gotta curse, you know, I'll curse. If I gotta do that to get your attention, then fine. If I have to put my hands on you, that's the very last resort. And that's just the way I carried it, you know. I'll sit here and tell you, I don't think I've ever let my shift in arrest, because that wasn't important to me. What was important to me is if I did arrest someone, that it was a good quality arrest.
Yep.
I'm looking for handguns.
Right, absolutely.
I'm looking for handguns and somebody that robbed somebody. Because
Right.
when I go to court, I want it to mean something.
Right.
You know, I'm not arresting you for, although, let me rephrase, I have arrested people for, you know, carrying a couple of bags or a couple of vials and whatnot, especially, you know, when I was first starting.
Yeah, it was illegal back then.
Right,
So.
right. And you know how it is, you know, you want to make your mark. You know, you do want
to show your worth.
Right, you want to show your worth, right? But then, you know, I'm glad that I was a little older, you know, in terms, I was still in my 20s, but I wasn't 21, 22.
Right.
So I already had my man mind,
Right.
you know,
Absolutely.
Instead of my boy mind, you know, when I was going out there. So I didn't have to impress anyone, but I did have to impress people.
Right.
You know, I have to impress you enough so that you know that when I'm out there, I mean business.
Absolutely.
You know, and for my peers, they have to know that when I'm out there, I'm doing my own thing and I'm doing it on my own, and I don't really need help. You know, I can stand on my own too. So if I do call you,
you know.
Yeah. You know, right? And so, like I said, I don't think I ever let my shift in arrest, but I always made, most of my arrests was always, you know, high quality felony, you know, type of arrest. A lot of handguns, a lot of drugs too, a lot of handguns. You know, and people recognize that. You know, I think I won the Officer of the Month award like 2 or 3 times in my first year.
That's
on
awesome.
The street. My only year on the street, actually, because I was only out there in uniform for a year before, you know, they pushed me to the drug unit. But you know, I learned a lot. In patrolling that year, and then, you know, subsequent years working drugs and CID drugs and all that. I learned a lot. Definitely enjoyed the first year the best, you know, wearing a uniform, working at my own pace, being able to walk and drive wherever I wanted to. You know, didn't really have an agenda. Like, I didn't have to target a drug gang or anything like that. I just have to be out there visible.
You was freelance.
Right, right. And make sure that, you know, people saw me,
Right.
and I was solving problems, or at least trying to solve problems, you know. So, yeah, so that was the best time I had. Um, I had a great run. I love my career. But if you're asking me what's the most fun I had, that was it right there.
Your first year.
Your first year.
And my first year in drugs, because I was still in the district, still with the same people that was grooming me.
Right.
Yeah, shout out to the Eastern District.
That's awesome.
Loved it, man. Loved it.
So, what made you rise within the ranks? What made you want to get promoted from sergeant, then to lieutenant, then the captain?
Right.
What made you want to do all of that?
Well, when I joined, honestly, I had an agenda. Obviously, I wanted to be able to provide for my family. So having work and being able to sustain myself, that was the first thing. But like I said, I'm a lifelong learner, and I try to learn from everything. And what I learned real quickly was, Bell, most of these supervisors are supervising, but they're not leading. Right?
Big difference.
They're pushing the buttons that everybody can push. They do a schedule. They approve your overtime, those types of things, but they're not really leading. And then honestly, I saw some really, really good supervisors, and a few of them like really took a liking to me, and they would always impart wisdom to me. But at the same time, I saw some cruddy supervisors, people that you can't barely spell your name. How you gonna lead somebody? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I figured, this dude can be a supervisor.
I know.
I know, without a doubt. Coming from where I'm coming from,
right?
Seeing the things that I've seen,
wow.
Yeah, ain't no doubt in my mind. What? 4 years? All I gotta do is 4 years, and then I can take the test. I came in. I was like, yeah, let me do this thing. Going through the academy, you reading, you getting law and all those other subjects, and you seeing how it really isn't that, well, for me, it really wasn't that complicated, right? And then as far as like how to elevate and how to get promoted, you know, they told me civil service. The sergeant's exam is a civil service exam, and then after that you can take the lieutenant's exam, another civil service exam.
Yep.
So in my mind, I don't need anyone to promote me. All I got to do is just go out and do well on the exams, and then prepare for the board, the oral boards. That's what I do.
Right.
So if nothing else, I'm gonna be a lieutenant. I'm gonna take my time doing it because I don't want to rush it too much. But I'm gonna take my time doing it. So what happened was, when I was in my third year, you were actually eligible to take the exam, but you can't get promoted until you completed 4 years. So I did that. And the way I studied was basically I just kept the general orders book in my car. And whenever I would pull over, take a break, I just read a general order. I might read a general order before a roll call. I might read one or two, after the shift is over. I didn't really study. I just read, and I figure if I read a general order, couple of times, 2 or 3 times, in the day, maybe, read it 2 or 3 times, during the week, before going on to the next one. By the time I'm eligible to take the test, I'll know this stuff.
Right.
That's what I did. So I didn't like study as much as I just kind of prepared a little bit each day. Same thing with like the ops manual and all those things. So I just tried to keep it simple. And so 2 days after I made 4 years, I got promoted.
Nice.
So yeah, I made 4 years on May 22nd, got promoted May 24th.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So it was good. I felt good about it. But then I also realized that I'm getting promoted after 4 years. And even though I think of myself as a smart individual, there's still a lot about the job that need to learn. Right. So, so I was content with being a sergeant for a while. I think I was a sergeant for like 8 or 10 years before I took that plunge into being a lieutenant. And pretty much the same, just reviewing, and when the time came to take the exam and do that type of stuff, I was ready.
I was just gonna say, what word of advice would you give? Because there's a lot of like right now, especially now, because the department can't keep so many people, so there's a lot of young officers that are getting promoted. So I was gonna ask you, like, what word of advice would you give them? They only got 3-4 years on, to help them, be good to the people that they're supervising.
Right. Well, here it is. For me, and I honestly believe this, being a good supervisor, yeah, part of the job is you need to know the job, right? And in Baltimore City, if you on the street for 2 or 3 years, and if you honestly out there working, you're gonna learn what you need to learn. It's not to say that you're gonna be a super officer, but think about it. In your first month on the street, you probably dealt with a homicide, right? You was in charge of a crime scene, whether it was a homicide, a robbery, ag assault,
a shooting,
right? Shootings. You dealt with drugs. You probably dealt with a child abuse, DVs. You've done all of that. You've been to court, right? You've towed cars. You've handled accidents. For lack of a better way to put it, Baltimore City, being on the street in Baltimore City gives you a lot of opportunities to learn a lot of things, right? So I'll use the term academics. Academically, you already learned the things that you need to learn on the street. The issue is, can you become a good leader? And are you a good leader, right? And so we have a lot of people that get promoted, and yeah, they got stripes and they got the salary and all of that stuff, and they're authorized as a leader, but they're not really leaders,
right?
And that's the difference. And that's when you have situations where guys, girls, supervisors, they see things going on and they feel powerless to do anything about it because they're waiting for someone to tell them what to do, or waiting for someone to show them what to do, or waiting for someone worse to do it for them, right? And that's what you get. And it's not just indicative of Baltimore. That's every major police department has too many of those people that they, on paper, they're leaders, but they're not really leaders. On paper, they're supervisors. They do more supervising than leading. And there's a big difference.
Absolutely.
So how do we change that though? How does that change?
You got to demand more. It's like, it's a thing that, like, it becomes a culture after a while, and it's not something that you can easily change.
Gotcha.
It's something that has to be changed from the core. And by that I mean, like, you can go to individual supervisors. Like, you can pick somebody right now that's a supervisor, right? And you can work with them, and you can show them how to exude courage, right? You can show them how to exhibit courage, but you can't make them courageous, but you can show them, right? And if they really, really desire to be a good leader, then they're going to figure out a way to muster up the courage. It's just an individual thing that you got to go through.
So it's an individual,
right? But at the same time, you working with that one supervisor is not going to make a difference for the whole department, right? You got to have leaders that already are at that level, and then they have to recognize the people that they're targeting for promotion, right? Because if you're a leader, like if you're the police commissioner and you're the deputy commissioner and all of that, if you really want things to change, they'll change. Think about it. This is your company, right?
Right.
If y'all want to change something, it's going to change.
Absolutely.
Immediately.
Right? Immediately.
2 phone calls.
Exactly. Where I'm at right now, the place where I work at right now, they making a really big push for diversity and building more diverse leadership. And they're honestly making a real good effort to do it, right? And part of what they're doing is they do these forums monthly or regularly. They do these forums, and these forums are basically forums where you come in and you speak honestly about your experiences, as a person of color, and and your experiences on the job, personal, whatever, and it kind of gives people a gateway into what you experience, and it kind of opens them up to, seeing other people, right? And it's a real good thing. But in one of those forums, we were talking about, we've made some good strides in the organization as far as diversity is concerned, but we'll never get to the place where we want to be, because when we get to these forums, the only ones that talking look like me, right? We're not the problem.
Yes, sir.
When you're talking about diversity, we're not the problem. And I'm going somewhere with this, right? So one of the statements that I made was, if the organization wants to see more black and brown people in positions of leadership, it'll happen. It'll happen. You promote people every day. You hire people every day. When I'm hiring people, they look like me. When they weren't looking like me before I got there, right? Because that's what I want. I hire women because I want to see women working in uniform, right? And they allow me to do that. So what I'm saying is, if you want it to happen, it'll happen, but you got to make it happen.
Wow.
Right? If you're the president of a company with 1,000, employees, and you want to see this person over here make a certain salary and get a certain position, all you have to do is say so, and it happens.
And it happens.
It happens all the time. It's your company.
I agree.
Right? So if you really want it to happen, it'll happen. So I say all that to go back to police work. If you have a commissioner with courage, and I'm not saying the one that we have doesn't have it, I'm just saying, if you have a commissioner with courage, and he or she has the courage to promote people that they believe will carry out the mission, and then you make them accountable for carrying out the mission will get carried out. But that also means that you got to be willing to call a spade a spade. So when one of your people out there doing something real crazy, and you know that they shouldn't be doing it, with a stroke of the pen, you can get rid of that person. The fact that you don't get rid of that person,
that's the problem.
That's the problem. It's not the person. Yeah, the person who's out there committing the crime, they're a problem for sure. But you're a bigger problem because you're allowing that person to dictate the culture.
Absolutely.
When you, as the leader, should be dictating the culture, right? If you're not doing that, then you... I'm about to curse.
Go ahead. You can curse.
It's raw, let it out.
It's up to you. Yeah.
If you're not doing that, you really need to get your ass out of there, man.
Right.
Because you're not doing your job.
You're doing a disservice to everybody.
You know what I'm saying? My thing was, I wasn't the best street cop. I knew there was guys out there better than me because they was at it longer than me. I'm not going to say I was the best detective. I was a darn good one. But I know there was those out there better than me. But what I was is probably the best leader that they've seen. And I'm not saying I was there from the very beginning. I had to grow into it. There was mistakes that I made along the way. But I tell you what, my mistakes was never born out of, I'm afraid to do what's right. I may have made some administrative mistakes, but I tell you what, you ain't gonna be mistreating people when you work for me. That shit ain't happening.
I know that's right.
And when it did happen, I'm on you.
Right.
I'm on you.
So over 23 years, how, just to put everything in perspective, how was that for you? Was it hard compartmentalizing a lot, bringing it home? Did some of the things, did a lot of the job affect you mentally? Did you have to speak with somebody just to, was there ever a time on the job where you dealt with something and it really affected you? Like, damn, I really just saw that. I really had to go through that.
I think we all have those times. There's one time, the first, actually a couple of them. The first time I had it wasn't my first DOA. I had a DOA where a gentleman was like 90 years old.
What's a DOA, by the way, so the world can know?
Dead on arrival, or some will say death on arrival. It's when a person dies and, they're discovered later.
Right.
and usually it's it's nothing criminal
Mm-hmm.
usually. Like in the case with this gentleman, he was 90 years old. Had health problems, plus the age, and he died alone.
Mm.
He died alone. He didn't really have any family checking up on him, and his neighbors looked out after him. They had not seen him for about a week or two, and finally, one of the neighbors called and said, can someone come and check, do a welfare check, and excuse me. So I got the call, and it was on Washington Street. I think it was like the 900 block of North Washington.
Mm.
And so anyway, I go there, and knock on the door and the whole nine. Couldn't get in. Call for a supervisor because I figure I'm gonna have to, bust. I use the term break in there. I'm gonna have to force entry
Right.
to see if this person is okay. And long story short, my supervisor came. We go to the back. I look up. I saw all these green flies flying around. I was like, God damn it.
Yep.
I know what that is. Well, hell, let me go up there. That's why they pay me, right? So get up there, open up the door. Open up the window. I actually climbed up to the second floor, opened up the window. And as soon as I opened up the window, dude, I'm not lying. It almost knocked me off the ledge.
Smell of death, right?
The smell of death, man. You will never forget it.
Ever.
Ever. Ever. And so I go in there, and he had obviously it was like June or July, so it's hot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And,
My body been sitting in there for a
yeah,
minute.
It's a stinky
yeah,
one.
yeah. So he had blew up like 3 times his size, and it was just a gory sight. But that really wasn't what hit me. What hit me was, you know, being the guy, being the primary officer and everything. You got to go through the thing of finding out who he is and calling his doctor, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to find next of kin and all that type of stuff, right? And during the midst of all that, it became apparent that, here's a man 90 years old, and he actually had 2 children, if I remember correctly, but they never called and check on him.
Wow.
So here's a man. I'm guessing he raised, a family, but nobody was checking on him. So that kind of, and knowing the way I was raised, and how close I was with my parents, and and that type of stuff, that hit me. And then there was a case with the first time I had a DOA that involved a child,
Ah.
and there was some evidence of abuse, and so that one, yeah, that one messed me up for a little while. That's when you go home and you got to kiss your children and hug them, and kind of recommit yourself that ain't nobody gonna mess with your child.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That one always hits hard.
Yeah.
No matter what.
What's the mindset like? I don't even know if you could prepare
No.
to go to a scene and see that.
Right.
Can't.
Especially
You can't.
if you have children.
Mhm.
I mean, in general, it's a child. But when you have children,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
like, wow.
Yep.
E-
Yep.
Even like before, like you hear it come out over the radio.
You hear it, but you hope it's not
Right.
confirmed.
Right.
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 Somebody like Buffy, she dispatches you out to the call, and it's like, cool. I know what it is.
Mhm.
But then when it's like you know what it is in your
Right.
head, but when you see it,
Yeah.
that's when it's like, boom,
Yep.
like, whoo.
Because no matter what part of the world you come from, man, children are what they are, right?
Yeah.
Little angels.
Right, they're little angels. And, likewise, our elderly, in most places we revere our elderly. We look up to them. We recognize that they've gone through the wars, and they've done those things, and they paved the way. And in many cases, especially people that look like us, they sacrifice a lot
A lot.
for us to be able to do what we do.
Absolutely.
So to have that concept, and then to see that, yo, come on, man.
How do you leave that? Like, that's the foundation. How do
Yeah.
you leave that alone?
Yeah. And the kids lived in the city.
Wow.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying?
Not once they didn't call nothing.
Yep. And
Yeah.
and it stuck. And I'm reciting it because the more I'm talking about, the more I'm remembering. The neighbor's like, yeah, I think he has kids, but they never come around, and stuff like that. And there's always one in the block that knows everything.
Everything.
Right.
Watch everything.
Yeah. So I appreciate that somebody was thinking about him enough to call.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, man, I hope he went fast.
Right.
Whatever happened to him. But yeah. So those like yeah. And there was a bunch of others that there was the one in Northwest where these uncles decapitated then I think it was two nephews and a niece.
Yeah, that was famous.
Yeah. I was in homicide at that time. It wasn't my case, but I remember the night or the day, that we got that call and everything, and I was like, come on, man, you really? And family members did it. I was like, yo,
wow,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Did you go to that scene?
No.
You didn't go?
Nah. I made the mistake of seeing the pictures, and I don't know why, because my thing back then was I'll read reports because I wasn't a homicide investigator. I came into homicide as a supervisor, so I always try to increase my learning curve by reading and reading and reading, and I don't have to see the pictures unless I'm actively trying to figure out the case, right? And certainly I don't need to see pictures of, decapitated, children. And so I made the mistake of looking at those. Yeah. And yeah, that one got me. But yeah, man, but overall, I really enjoyed my time in Baltimore PD. Made a lot of friends. Made a good living.
right.
Took advantage of the education. Got a chance to do the things that I like doing that are important to me. So yeah, great. I had a great time.
That's awesome.
I think it should be a career that a lot of people shouldn't be ashamed or feel bad about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You should. I think a lot more people should do it, and it is really making changes.
Absolutely.
You do the right job. You're out there doing the right thing, and if you do it that way, you'll be a perfect and a prime example of what a great officer is, and tries to work hard to be, and you make that change, and it affects everybody.
It does. Being a police officer is it's a real noble profession, but the problem is a lot of officers don't recognize it as a profession. By definition, it's a profession. You have to be certified. You have to go to training and be certified. You have to go to recertification every year.
Right.
That's a profession.
Absolutely.
There's certain tools you have to have,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be proficient in. That's a profession.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You have to be a professed expert in certain places. When you go to court, at some point you got to be a recognized expert in order to be on that witness stand and be effective, right? When you go make a drug case and you go stand before a judge, you get recognized as an expert in recognition or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yep.
It's a profession. But again, the problem is a lot of people don't understand it as a profession. They don't see it as a profession. They don't treat it as a profession. And then on top of that, you have a lot of people that just go into it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
You can't be, I don't think you can be in that profession and either do a great job or do a great job and enjoy it, right? If you're not a person that's a giver. If you're a taker, you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy taking from people,
right,
but you're not going to enjoy the profession. If you're not a person who's service oriented, like if you've never done anything for anyone in your life, don't be a police officer.
It's not for you.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like being the president when you've never done anything for anyone and you've never served in any capacity whatsoever. But now you find yourself being the president of the U.S. That shit ain't gonna work.
Right. That's perfect. Oh my goodness. So 23 years on, what made you, was you done? Could you have did a couple more years?
Yeah, economically, it would have been great for me to do another 3 years. I would have, pension wise and all that type of stuff, yeah, it would have been better. But when I joined, I honestly said I'm gonna do 20 years
And I'm out.
and I'm out. I joined, in my late 20s. I was 28, so I figured, I'm a join. I knew they had an educational benefit and all that stuff. I said, okay, um, I'm a join. I'm gonna finish school. Um, Maybe I'll get an advanced degree or maybe I'll get a law degree. Um, you know, I'm gonna buy a home, do some investing. Um, I'm gonna get to a place where I can get out there and teach or instruct. Um, and then, when I'm like 48, I'm gonna retire so that I can go and do some other things that I like to do. Do some other work and some other things and still be young enough and attractive enough to employers and things like that, because once you hit like 50 and that type of stuff, people start looking at you differently. Now granted, you don't have to put your age on applications and stuff, but people dig, right? So that's kind of like that was like my mindset. But as I was going through my career, good things just kept happening for me, and and I was really enjoying what I was doing. Excuse me. I was always meeting good people, always landing in good situations, and I just kept building my skill set because like every couple years, I get a phone call and somebody's asking me to come, supervise this squad or come manage this, this area, or come take over this, this unit, and I didn't really recognize it at first, but all they was doing was giving me a specialty, which is go into a situation that might be a little chaotic or really chaotic, calm things down, put people in the right places, straighten out the policies and procedures, add some good practices, straighten things out, stabilize it, and then leave it for the next person, then go do it again somewhere else, and that basically became my specialty.
So you was the cleaner.
I was cleaner. Yeah. And, and then, after doing that a couple of times, then I started to realize, you know what? Yeah, I'm actually doing a good service for the agency,
Right.
and at the same time, I'm meeting good people. I'm landing in good situations where I'm being challenged all the time. I'm not saying it was all good. I mean, I did run into a lot of challenges that test my fortitude, which is also good. It made me develop better resolve,
Nice.
to deal with stuff. Because by nature, again, I'm not aggressive by nature. I force myself to be aggressive. And by turn, I learned how to channel that and be appropriately aggressive, and to be a butthole when I need to be, and those types of things. And I don't know if I would have gotten that if I wouldn't have been, in the police department. Because believe me, you run into a lot of assholes, right? So you get a lot of practice, right? So, yeah, I got a lot of practice, man. And, I met a lot of great people that helped nurture me.
Right.
And I can't overemphasize that. I mean, I can rattle off so many names of people that took their time to teach me things and to encourage me and to set me straight when I needed to be set straight too.
Right.
So yeah. So how did I know it was time? So initially that was my thinking 20 years ago, but then got to 20 and I was like, nah, things are still going. I was still enjoying it, but I also felt like I was enjoying it a little less. Like each month seems like a little bit was chipping away. And I think a lot of that was me being in internal affairs and seeing how much our leadership was lacking, because we allowed things to happen when we didn't have to. And so when I got to that point where I'm like, man, you know what? I shot my load, man. I'm about to go to sleep now.
Right.
I'm
ready.
It's time to go. Yeah, it's time to go.
Right.
And and so when that time came, I'm like, yeah, I can hang on and I could do like, I could still do another 10 years.
But no
I could
problem.
do another 20 years without
Right.
no problem. But my heart wasn't in it,
Right.
my heart wasn't in it. And
Everybody says
Yeah.
they know. You know when it's your time.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
time.
And cause even after I left, granted, I still keep in touch with a lot of people, and I still love the department, and and I have emotional energy invested in the agency,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't miss working in the police department.
Gotcha.
And never did miss it.
Once you left.
Right. I at times I miss the aspect of standing before class and teaching, but I get to do that where I'm at. You know, I get it. I used to miss a little bit of, talking to people like we're doing right now, and
Mm-hmm.
giving them a little bit of what I have and taking a little bit of what they have. But I get to do all of that. So yeah. So I don't miss it. I miss the people. You know, I miss the service to the city, but I don't miss the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. That's
I
amazing.
mean, that's what I said. Out of all the, I know you said your first year and Eastern District, but which unit did you like love to supervise?
Let me see, man. Yo, believe it or not, man,
Like, what was the most fun? Like,
the most fun, Western District Drug Unit.
Oh yeah,
Western District Drug Unit. That
That's
was
what I
the
was gonna
most
ask you
fun.
about.
That was the most fun to supervise. That was my second uh, job as a supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
My first was, I got promoted. They sent me to the Western Patrol, and that was fun. I learned a lot real fast because it was my first time supervising as a police, supervisor. Actually, it was my first supervising job. Period.
Mm.
It was the first time I ever been a supervisor. You know, hell, I wasn't even the captain of the basketball team growing up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I learned a lot, and that was cool. But then the drug unit, I had a lot of fun. It was the most fun I had because I had good people. They was hardworking. Um, they were creative, um, and for a brief time, I was allowed to do what I thought was important.
Mm-hmm.
To get the job done. Um, we made our own targets, meaning we determined who we needed to go after. We determined what blocks were the blocks that we need to concentrate on. And so, having some of that autonomy to make those decisions, that was good. That was good for me, because it made me grow a little faster. Because I didn't have someone telling me what to do. In patrol, even though you don't necessarily have people telling you what to do,
Mm-hmm.
your your um your missions are real clear.
Right.
Your
Right.
missions are simple. Make sure your people out there, making sure that they, create omnipresence. Make sure that they're answering calls. Those type. It's like real cut and clean.
Right.
But in the drug unit, you can do so many things. And you can develop people in a different way, and yourself
Mm-hmm.
in a different way. And to be able to do that, but have to find your own way at the same time,
Right.
it forced me to grow,
Nice.
where I probably would not have grown as much if I was, still in patrol.
Wow. That's amazing. Damn. What a phenomenal way to kick off episode 50, man. Amazing.
It's knowledge.
I love it.
So we
What?
can keep going. You know
Of
what I'm saying? 'Cause you're gonna have to come back,
Oh, I would love to come back.
Please
man.
come back.
Yeah.
and then we could really get into it.
Absolutely.
This was like your genesis.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Triple C.
Yo,
It's about that time, baby.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's episode 50. I'd like to thank Mr. Moreland for coming in. Retired Captain Moreland. He's the man. I'm telling you, man, this job it's amazing. It does phenomenal things. You meet great people. And the type of leadership that we got, it's hard to get that. The foundation was set. There's nothing wrong with learning, being humble. Humility is everything. Do it for the right reasons, you come out better. With that being said, we love you. Keep tuning in. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's episode 50. Dre, what else you got?
Just listening to our former captain list. We need to, as an agency, we need to get back into taking pride in our profession. That's what I got from this.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful profession.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it was noble.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get back to that. I know the world's seeing different things, but us, we have to go out there, and when you put on your uniform,
pride, man.
Pride, everything,
Absolutely.
Pride in everything we do.
I mean, it's simple. If you wear a dirty uniform, you don't love this job.
No.
You don't love this profession.
Nobody looks at you like you love what you do.
Right. There's a reason why some people go through their whole career and they don't ever have any issues or problems.
Absolutely. Wow. Well said, Dave. I ain't got nothing else to say about that.
I got nothing else to say.
All right, everybody. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Don't drink and drive. Keep God first. Stay blessed. And we'll see you next week.
Peace and love.